And welcome out here to the Gillette Game Plan live here at the Pizza Ranch. As we are here with Coach Anderson with us. And Coach, I mean, it was a solid run there at the regional tournament, getting in that fourth place spot. Now you get a run against Natrona County coming up this weekend. But I mean, we got to talk about that Cheyenne East game because that was a game that. That was your season right there. You win, you keep rolling in, you lose, you're out, and we saw some big moments from a lot of players. We saw moments from Riley Hawk, we saw moments from Brody Jarvis, Ethan Masteller. He was inside the paint all day long, like just didn't feel like anybody could stop him.
Yeah, absolutely. All those guys played well, and Ethan, he kind of did what he's capable of doing. He's a kind of a man amongst boys at times. And so, he went inside and dominated down there, like you said. And then, we've talked a lot this season about how critical shot making can be. And that's obviously not exclusive to us. But I do think our team is kind of comprised of you've got guys that like to go to the rim and score at the rim, and then you've got a lot of guys that like to catch and shoot threes, and so it's like when shots aren't falling, it can make it difficult for us to score at times. And so, offensively made shots. I thought we did a good job on the glass, but then to flip it, I think that it was the defense, which is like, that's something that we've really been focusing on for the last, 2 months. And I do think that the defense has gotten a lot better, but like you said, it's hard sometimes in those winner go home games. It's like if you don't do it for one game, or you have lapses, or you have breakdowns, then it's like that can be your season. And so I was pleased because I felt like defensively we were engaged for 32 minutes. We rebounded the ball for the most part. I mean, they missed a lot of shots, and so they ended up with, I think, 11 offensive rebounds, but held them to 29%. Shooting, they scored 39, and they averaged up in the 60s as a team. And so, we did a really good job of making things tough on them. Thought we adhered to the scout really well. They had a couple guys that we felt like we could let them shoot threes, and I think those guys got 7 of them up, and we're 0 for 7, and so I guess we tell our guys it's like that's what we're trying to accomplish, and then if you do that, you execute and you finish with a rebound, then that's good for us.
Absolutely. For those watching on Horseman Broadcasting and on our YouTube page, there's the bracket for you, as we were talking about a 59-39 win there. Then you guys had a hard match against Sheridan.
Yes.
They're the favorites to win state this year, and I mean, that team is it's so stacked. And one of the things that we also have to remember, that team is also pretty much every single person is back from last year's team.
Yeah. I think we talked about it early. They lost Bateson, obviously, which he gave him an edge defensively. But outside of that, they returned everybody. They're by high school basketball standards go, they are a very, very tough team. They're physical, they're big, they have depth,
they got everything. They got everything you want.
It's a challenge. There's no way around it. And I think I was disappointed just because I didn't think we played him as tough as we did when we had him at home right after we lost Jack, and I think if there was ever a situation where you could kind of come out and feel sorry for yourself and just not maybe be ready to go, it was probably that game. But that wasn't the case, and we battled. We started slow in that game, but then, for a good chunk of the second quarter and most of the third, I think I told our boys, we were just talking about it, end of the third, I think it was 14, and we went 0 for 2 from the line, and then they took the rebound coast to coast and scored it. So it ended up 16, but easily could have been 12, and it didn't feel like we were playing our best basketball. And so I think knowing that and then going into that regional game, we as a team were hopeful that we could be competitive and make it a good game, kind of like Thunder did, on Saturday. They played them really well, I thought. But it's one of those things. I don't know. A lot of emotions go into the, Thursday, and
it kind of also feels like, you've already made the tournament.
For sure.
And this is why I don't like the one and done Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like it. And I'm glad next year you guys are going back to that double limb because you're going to have 8 teams.
Yeah.
But that one and done situation is just, there's nothing really to play for Friday, Saturday. You're just playing for seeding.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's be honest, you're playing teams out of the West
Yep.
in that first round of seeding. Granted, you're trying to stay away from that one team that's just really good, which is with Sheridan. You both figured out a
Yeah.
way to I don't know how y'all did it, but Thunder and Campbell County, you guys
Yeah.
both figured out a way to stay out of that side of the
Yeah.
bracket. Now
Yeah.
you guys get to fight each other
Yeah.
if it gets to that point.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, Friday is just
Yeah.
like
It's
championship game and all that on Saturday. Yeah, there might be some little nice
for
things,
sure.
but I mean, you think about it in the girls' game. Cheyenne Central absolutely got blown out by
Yep.
East. And personally, because I don't think Central really was trying to do
Yeah.
anything else.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. You never play to lose, and we definitely didn't. But I
Right.
do think there's a letdown element, where it's like, you're
It's
going.
like,
And then I think there's
oh,
also
hey,
the
I'm here.
piece of,
Oh, wow.
in our case, and we don't play that many guys, and we've got to have everybody healthy,
Yep.
and so it's like you look at that and shoot. I mean, we played all our starters, 3/4 against Sheridan before it kind of went off the rails and got out of hand. But then Central, it's like those guys that normally play 30 to 32 minutes, they played, and
Yeah.
so it wasn't like we sat them or anything like that. But yeah, I agree. I think the approach is maybe we did what we needed to do on Thursday. We're going, like, let's get there. Let's be
Yeah,
healthy,
and that's the main thing.
And start thinking about Natrona.
You put your all to get to state. You put your all eggs in your basket on Thursday
Yeah.
in the East
For sure.
because you want to
Yeah.
make sure you get
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. You don't
Yeah.
want to be that one team that's like here in Gillette that's not going.
No, for
I
sure.
mean,
and I think to your point, like just from a scout standpoint, it's like Monday through Thursday, it's all East. You're not talking, hey, if we beat Sheridan, this is,
No,
if we lose to Sheridan, this is what we're doing against Central. And that's, I mean,
and that's the same way
it's
it goes
true at
with
state, right? Where
the
it's
same
like
way
the
with
only
state.
team we're going to talk about right now is Natrona, but from
Yeah.
yesterday until Thursday. And then if you win, you
Then-
see
then
who
you-
else
then you-
wins, and
then
you
you
figure
start
that out
moving
on
out from
Friday,
there,
know?
yeah.
And yeah, if it's Thunder, then I mean, you have obviously the benefit of it's a team you've
Mm-hmm.
played them twice, where the West is sometimes more challenging in that sense. We were lucky to go to the James Johnson in Cheyenne in early January, which we normally haven't done in the past, and see 3 teams from the West. So we did get to play Natrona. We kind of understand what they're about, and you've got to, teams change. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not the same team we were in early January. I know
Mm-mm.
that for sure. But yeah, to have an idea, it's sometimes hard on film, to just get a feel for how big are kids, how do they move, and so if nothing else, we've seen their personnel and kind of understand what they want to do.
You talked about getting to go to James Johnson's because, you guys can normally head out to Colorado and go to that tournament out there. Do you think it's prepared you more now? Because as you said, you've gotten a chance to actually play a few of these West teams, so now you kind of have like a feel of kind of how that was. But that was also early in the season. A lot
Yeah.
of those teams have actually, it's kind of crazy because some of those teams I was just like, oh man, this could be a good matchup that maybe heads to the state championship.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh, one team's gonna come out of the West, and now
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean, I totally agree. You would have looked at Rock Springs, they
Oh
thumped
my
us,
goodness
and
gracious, they were
they
so
didn't
good.
even end up going.
No.
And that's kind of the nature of the regional tournament, and that's why you play. But
They were all the
Yeah.
way up at like the number 2
Yeah.
spot, number 3
Yeah.
spot in 4A,
yeah,
like all of 4A.
yeah. So
It's crazy.
no, I think it was good, and I guess we're fortunate that just by chance, one of the teams you get to see at the James Johnson is who you end up playing in the first, but you
Yeah.
could flip it and say, okay, now Natrona kind of knows what we're about as well,
Exactly,
which
yeah.
a lot of times it's like, shoot, there's years if we're not doing anything with those teams in the West, you're pretty preoccupied with what's going on our side, and so you may go into like yesterday, Monday. It's the first time you've watched a West game film the entire season, where, yeah, we had prepped a little bit for, I guess, who'd we have? Green River, Natrona, and Rock Springs in those 3 James Johnson games.
Yeah, no, and that's the biggest caveat into your guys' situation because you've already seen this team, you already know how they play. As you talked about, they're not going to hit. They might hit 10 threes in
Yeah.
a row again.
Yeah.
You just never know.
For
But
sure.
I mean, their 3-pointers have gone down from that 10 just making there, and that was the big emphasis of losing that game when you guys played them, and so it's just a kind of a catch-22 type of thing, and we were kind of talking a little bit off air about, some of the big guys to kind of like really focus on. And I think that's going to be a big factor, especially, with Ethan Masteller. He's going to have to try to get inside the paint as much as
Yeah.
possible, because I feel like whenever he gets inside the paint and he's able to score inside the paint, I feel like that's when you guys are really at your best basketball.
Totally. I agree. And it's been, I mean, Ethan's done a good job. He's doing everything we've asked him to do, but it's been a challenging transition. I mean, we've kind of thrust him into a role that's somewhat foreign to him in terms of like, hey, we need you to be on the block and play around the rim. Like, not that he didn't play around the rim before, but it was more perimeter, driving the ball, cutting to the rim, where now it's like, hey, we need you to post up like Jack used to post up, because those post touches are so valuable for us.
Yeah.
But it's something Jack's done it his whole life. He just had such a feel for it. And so, now Ethan's really not ever been asked to do that.
No.
And it's like, hey, do you think you can figure this out in a month? And so, he's
And,
been good.
and he's done a good job about it.
Absolutely. And even in the Central game, he didn't score it as much in the Central game, but I felt like a lot of the threes that we made were off of, post touch kick out threes, where it's like, okay, so you touching the ball is also getting other guys' shots, even when you're not scoring, which is good.
Yeah.
I've been pleased with Ethan and really our whole group. I think just the way that we've been able to take, Jack's injury in stride, or as much as you can when you lose a player like that. But like I said, I think there was definitely an opportunity to pour me, and this sucks, and there's no way we can move forward without Jack, and I don't think that's true, and I don't think the team has approached any game since we lost him that way either. And so you just you go out, you play hard, you prepare for the team that you have this week, and we don't have him. Obviously, we wish we did, but do what you can as a coach to put him in positions to be successful, and players go out and play hard. That's all we can ask.
That was kind of some of my question coming up here in a moment, because, I mean, without Andela, trying to play, she was talking about Masteller trying to really kind of work that inside post, because, he doesn't get to play that. I mean, he's normally outside perimeter shooting threes and doing that type of stuff, on rhythm and that. But with Jack being out, it kind of opens avenues for other teams that may not have been there this season. Because one of the things that we were kind of talking about earlier on is, you're going to try to get the ball to Jack as much as possible. Really want him to play inside the paint. And a lot of games were won inside the paint with Jack. Now with Jack out, I've been seeing him do a little bit of coaching on the sidelines a little bit. Is he kind of getting a little bit of a flow of kind of like a student coach down there on the sidelines?
Sure. No, it's good to have him on the bench. He's a bright basketball mind, and so he's got a good feel for what we want to do, and he's got thoughts, and I'm appreciative of all that stuff. It's been I think you got to embrace any semblance of help from him at this point. It's like he still is a big part of the team and wants to help any way that he can. I know he'd kill to be out there, but he can't, and so that's what he can give us right now, and it's been good. It was fun to have him on the bench at regionals for sure.
Yeah, no, I kept on watching him and seeing him like all the different like coaching things that he was doing, and I was sitting there, it's just like, yep, that's Jack.
Yeah, for sure.
That's pretty cool. So so Natrona coming up this weekend, and then afterwards, whoever else is next, it's either going to be with Thunder Basin, or it is going to be, as I'm going to pull up the bracket here for you, it's either going to be Thunder Basin or Kelly Walsh, either the winner or loser of those games. And the one thing that's different kind of here with Wyoming State is that you guys do have the Consolation Championship, the third place game, and that's a little different. Other places, they just, you lose, you're out.
For sure.
And you're done.
Yeah.
Does that play a lot into kind of what you're building? Obviously, you want to win that state title, but, obviously, if something goes awry in one of those two games and you're kind of looking at that, is there anything that you can do to kind of like get your guys back up and go and say, because when you go to that third place matchup, a lot of teams are just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
For sure.
Like, how do you make sure that you keep them in that group? Granted, we want you to win all the way through, but
for sure.
In those cases.
No, I mean, I guess I don't know that there's anything you can do that'll say for certain, that's the way they're going to approach it, like it's any other game. But I think it is, like you said, A, unique, but B, in those instances, it also provides kind of a cool opportunity for them to embrace, their last, whatever it is, one game together, two
Yeah.
games together, and just kind of go out and have fun. And like some of that pressure that comes with, I mean, early, I think we don't feel it as much, but it's like on our side of the state, when you get into conference, it feels like every one of those games matters a
Oh
ton,
my goodness, yes, it
and
does.
so it's like, yeah, that pressure, it starts to bear down, and then you
Mhm.
feel it obviously at regionals, like you talked about. Maybe it lets up a little bit after you win on Thursday, and you're going, but yeah, if that's what happens, I guess I can speak from personal experience. My senior year, when we got upset by Evanston in the first round, and that was pretty unexpected. To get to play two more games and come out
Yeah.
and win two more games with guys that you grew up with. I mean, some of those dudes are still lifelong friends of mine. It's just like it does. It doesn't make it feel okay, but
Right.
it at least maybe provides an opportunity to end on a more positive note than, like you said, in a lot of states, you lose, you go home, and that's it, and you maybe even as a coach don't get to have the closure that you maybe want to have with that group, because it's just so fresh, and I think
Yeah.
in the moment you don't always know
Yeah.
what's the right thing to say, and maybe there's no right thing to say, but it's just, yeah, they move on. You'll have kids out for spring sports. You have kids, Ethan, in our case, he said he's going in June to go to Washington State for football. And so it's like, yeah, kids that they
Yeah.
move on, and so yeah, I don't know.
He's gonna be really good in
Yes,
football.
he is. He is. I think I will coach for a long time and probably not have somebody that's his size and moves the way he moves. He is just kind of a one of a kind.
Oh my goodness.
In that sense.
I can definitely see him, at some point getting his time there at Washington
Yeah.
State, and he just goes off.
Yeah, yeah. He
And
he's a specimen for sure.
Him and Drew, I would not be shocked if we don't see them in the NFL draft at some point in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah,
would not be
that's
shocked.
cool to think about for sure.
It's I mean, it's kind of crazy, but you were talking about closure, and it kind of made me think about Pecula and Thunder Basin and how many injuries they went through this season, and what looked like a team that was going to really kind of go through and have a really great year.
Yeah.
Losing to a field goal to Campbell County, and then also playing Sheridan so close, but having one quarter that, there was just a turnover after turnover that kind of ruined that, and it was a little bit of a defense setup, and it does kind of feel like that closure situation, because, he told me numerous times, and when I did his, retirement interview and stuff, and he was just like, man, I told this team we were winning a state championship this year.
Yeah.
And granted, I know every coach says that, but the thing is I actually kind of believed it.
Yeah.
Because the way that they had it this year, this was the team I actually thought was actually going to be in the state championship. I'm glad Campbell County was there, but I really thought Thunder Basin was actually going to be that team this year that was going to be there, because they had Hadley Hudson back, and he was the leading passer for the whole year. I mean, it was just kind of one of those things where it was kind of set up in the way, and then as you were talking about, just when you lose, it's just you don't have the right words to say.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I think with our group, I guess kind of in that same vein, the point you were probably getting to was, yeah, it's just hard, because it felt like we had really just kind of, a really slow start, and then it felt like we were hitting our stride, and then we were winning games, and we were beating teams in our league, and then Jack goes down, and so I think you're there'll just always be that what if,
absolutely.
and I think obviously with Jack or without Jack, you're gonna have to win 3 tough games, and you're going to have to have an answer for Sheridan, likely, to be winning on Saturday.
And, the crazy part was last season, it was a 3 and 4 in the state championship game.
Yeah.
Out of the East.
For sure.
That was the championship game, and then the 4 seed wins it.
For sure.
So, I mean, for those that are thinking, oh man, this is one versus one. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, this is state basketball is something different. If you've never been, you got to go out to Casper, Wyoming this weekend. Casper College first, all day on Casper College. I'm a little worried that I'm gonna have to tear down and then reset up for
Yeah.
one in
I didn't
between
think about
game.
that. Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
really
tough.
hope not, because I got a game at
You better
3:30.
just bring
and
like
then,
$100 bill or something.
I
see if
know,
you can
right?
Just
And just
grease
like,
somebody and be
hey,
like, can I just hang out?
I just want to chill right
Uh-huh.
here. Do not want to move.
Yeah.
Do not plan on moving.
Yeah.
I got 2 games after this. Don't want to do that. But anyways, yeah, so game time 3:30 for Thunder Basin girls, and then you guys will play at 6 p.m. or 6:30.
Thunder's at 6:30.
Thunder's
We're
at you're at
afternoon.
the
Yep,
8
we're
o'clock
late,
game. That's
yeah,
what I thought.
yeah.
Yeah. Thunder Basin's a 6:30 game, and then you guys are the 8 o'clock
Yeah.
game, and that's what I have on my bracket
Yeah.
that I pulled up a minute ago. But
No, that's okay.
I
You got a
decided
lot
to
keep
I
straight.
decided to do it through my head. So there's the bracket again for those that are taking a look at it. If you like the bracket, make sure you go like it on Horseman Broadcasting. I made the bracket myself. I did it for football, and it looked really cool.
Yeah,
so
no,
I was
that
like,
looks nice.
so I was like, you know what, we're gonna do it for this, and
Absolutely.
it's always a fun time. Well, Coach, I know you got things you got to do, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. But what are some things that you're going to be looking out for this weekend for this team, and things that maybe they've improved on that you're kind of looking at after regionals to go into state?
Yeah, I think defense is going to continue to be a big focus for us, and I think it's always critical in March and in the state tournament if you want to win games. It's like you don't see nearly as many games at the state tournament that end like 86 to 80 as you do 46 to 40. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
I think you've just got to be ready to play that like knockdown, drag it out game. And then I think the other thing for us that's been a challenge since we lost Jack is the rebounding. It's like we will have good defensive possessions, but you have to close it out with the rebound. And
Yeah.
if you don't, the fact that you just guarded really well for 30 seconds, often doesn't matter because it could be offensive rebound, stick back 2 or a kick out 3. And so I think that's just like Sheridan really got after us on the boards on Friday. And I kind of used them all season with our group as the barometer of like, if the goal is to win on Saturday, then that's the team, that you've got to be able to compete with. And so instead of that, I think you just like we've been on our guys most of the season about effort, energy, and attention to detail, and just understanding that like those lapses that feel so insignificant in the moment. Maybe it's one possession that you get back cut or you give up and up, but it's like it's also all correlated at the end, and so like even to go to the Central game on Saturday, it was 19-8 at the end of the first. It's like, and then you battle back. You have a good second quarter, so it's tied in the second, or it's tied at half, so it doesn't feel like that big of a deal. But it's also like, what if you played them even in the first quarter, and now you're up 11? You know what I mean? So that's like it's obviously not always that simple, but I think it's just more than ever at the state tournament, the playing complete games, 32 minutes with no breakdowns, no letdowns, like that's to me probably one of the most important things, and that's just what we preach with our guys.
And I think you brought up a great point with that, because I mean, if you think about it, how many teams when they're down at state actually really get to make that full blown? All of a sudden at halftime you're still down by 10. Now you got to figure out a way to go on a run. And if this team still keeps scoring multiple times, all they got to do is make sure they score 2-3 baskets, each time, and they're going to hold on to the lead and end up winning it. That's kind of the hard part about like really trying to make sure that you play these teams as close as possible, because at the end of the day, if a team gets momentum and they're going on, they're going to keep that run going, because it's the state tournament. It's kind of crazy.
Sure. And it's just the margin for error is small, and it's one game, and so it's not the same as dropping a game in December at the Remax, and you go, well, we get to play again tomorrow, and maybe we didn't have our best, or maybe we weren't engaged, or maybe we weren't locked in on the scout, and you're giving up threes to kids that you don't want to give up threes to, or you're giving up layups to kids that you should have them shooting. It's
Yeah.
like that sort of stuff. It hurts worse when there's breakdowns at the state tournament. And so, no, we've had 2 good days of practice, and I think we're ready. I feel good. 4 days to prepare for a team. But yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time for coming out here, joining me, and appreciate you talking all season long with me. And of course, we'll try and we'll do a wrap-up basketball show as well. So I will either do that next week or the following week, whatever your schedule
Okay.
aligns in
Yeah.
that case. But yeah, no, I appreciate you letting me talk with you. And obviously, we're not done talking because we'll be talking on Thursday.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
but once again, head out to Casper College as they take on Natrona County. Game time at 8 p.m. So if you tell me you can't make it because of the time, it's at 8 p.m. So you can leave here by 5 and be there by 8. Just saying. So make sure you're out there, get that crowd rowdy, and make sure you go support your Camels out there. Once again, we're here live at the Pizza Ranch. A shout out to them for hosting the Gillette Game Plan every single Tuesday and Wednesday night. We really appreciate it. We even get the guys' food, get the coaches' food. It's fantastic. It's a great time. We can't do it without them. So, but again, make sure you head out to Casper College coming up on Thursday at 8 p.m. is tip-off. So don't be late. Again, if you leave here by 7 or leave here by 5, 4 o'clock, you'll be there on time. You'll be great. Tell your boss. Chase said you got to go to the game. So there you go. So make sure you're at that game, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, we get to play Casper. Us and Thunder get to play Casper schools in the evening. So
Yeah.
they'll have a crowd for
No,
sure.
they
We'll take all the
will
help
have
we
a
can
crowd. So
get.
make sure you are out there because they will have a crowd that night as well. So well, Coach, from Coach Anderson to Chase the Horseman Horsley, we will see you guys next time here on another Gillette Game Plan. Once again, remember, head out there on Thursday as they will take on Natrona County.